I want to tell you about one of the biggest shifts in my thinking. It didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't some dramatic moment when everything suddenly made sense. It happened gradually. And looking back, I think it completely changed the direction of my life. And the shift was this: I stopped waiting. I stopped waiting for better circumstances, stopped waiting for more confidence. I stopped waiting for someone to discover me. And I started asking a different question: what can I do today? And that question has been changing my life ever since. We spend a lot of time waiting. If you think about it, a lot of us spend years waiting, waiting until we have enough money, waiting until we have more time, waiting until we feel ready, waiting until someone gives us permission, waiting until the perfect opportunity arrives. I understand that. I've done it. Sometimes waiting is wise, but sometimes waiting is simply fear wearing a different name. And it's hard to tell the difference unless we are honest with ourselves. As I've built businesses, written books, and now Black Logic Media, I've realized something. There was never a moment when I suddenly felt like I was completely prepared. There was no magical point where I thought, okay, now I know enough. And if I had waited until I felt perfectly qualified, I probably would have never started. The truth is, clarity often comes after action, not before it. You take the first step, you learn, you adjust, you improve, then you take the next step. That's how almost everything worthwhile has happened in my life. For a long time, I thought responsibility meant obligation, bills, work, deadlines, taking care of other people. And those things definitely part of it. They're definitely part of it. But today, I define responsibility a little bit differently. Responsibility is ownership. It's the moment you stop saying somebody should do something and you start asking, why not me? That's a powerful shift because the moment you take ownership, you regain influence. So here's the question I ask myself now. Whenever I run into a problem today, I try to ask one question before anything else: what part of this belongs to me? Maybe not all of it, but just my part. Maybe I need to communicate better. Maybe I need another skill. Maybe I need to prepare more thoroughly. Maybe I simply need to apologize. I discovered something. Even when my part is small, it's enough to begin making progress. And progress is incredibly motivating. Now, I also think it's important to say what responsibility is not. It doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It doesn't mean pretending that life is always fair. It doesn't mean ignoring injustice. There are things that happen to us that we never choose. There are circumstances that we genuinely cannot control. And responsibility doesn't deny those realities. It simply asks, given the reality that I'm facing, what is the wisest or the best next step? And that's a very different question. And it's one that always leaves room for hope. One thing that my project Black Logic has taught me is that understanding something is not enough. You eventually have to do something with what you learned. Otherwise, knowledge just sits there, unused. The books on your shelf don't change your life. The principles that you apply do. And that's why responsibility has become the second foundation, because understanding reality is only the beginning. Living according to what you've learned, that's where the transformation begins. Here's something I'd encourage you to do this week. Think about one area of your life where you've been waiting. Maybe you've been waiting for motivation or confidence or permission. Now, ask yourself one question. What's one responsible step that I could take today? Not next month, not next year, but today. And keep it small. Make the phone call. Read the chapter. Have the conversation. Send the application. Just begin. Because momentum has a funny way of creating motivation. If there's one lesson I hope you take from today's conversation, it's this: you don't have to control your entire future. You just have to own your next step. I found that life becomes much less overwhelming when I stop trying to solve everything and simply ask, what's mine to do today? That's a question I'll probably be asking for the rest of my life. And honestly, I think it's one that's worth carrying. Thanks for spending a little time with me. I'll see you in the next conversation.